Good morning, my gorgeous friends on the internet. In today's episode, we're going to do a full React crash course. So this is going to be exciting. We're going to build out a full recipe app. Yeah, I've been playing around with React quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, and yeah, had a lot of fun. And you guys want a lot of React, so let's do React. So here it is. Let me show you what we have. So it's called Delicious, and you have popular vegetarian recipes, and you have a cool slider here that you can go like that, boom, boom. And we have our trending picks down here. Now what we can do, so we can click on, let's say the mango avocado, click on that one. We have nice animations going on there. Here's the instructions. If we want to get the ingredients, we can click on the ingredients. Let's go back home. We can also filter out, like, let's say we want an Italian recipe, so we can click on that. And look at that, a nice pizza. So let's click on that. There we go, cool. And we also have a search functionality here. So let's search for muffin. There we go. So I like the, let's see which one, banana Oreo muffin. Sounds gross, but good enough. Okay, so there we go. Quite a bit to do here. So it's gonna be quite a long video. So buckle up. Sit your ass down, get yourself a beer and popcorn, and let's get going. I don't know what was the accent, but let's get going. Okay, so if you have no idea about React, then it's alright, because we're going to start from absolute scratch. I'm going to go a bit fast-paced because it's a bit of a big project, but I'm going to try to break everything down as best as I can. So learning, let's go here. So just go into a folder, any folder that you want, and to install to start off a new React project, we're going to use npx. So what you need to do is have Node installed. So go to Node.js, clickety clackety, install this one. Once you have that installed, you can do npm and npx stuff, which is basically just installing different kinds of packages. And in this case, we want the React package. So we're going to say npm create -react-app, and then give it any name you want. In this case, I'm going to call it Delicious. And hit enter. So whilst that's loading up, we need to get this data from somewhere, right? So we're going to use an API. So a really good one that I found is this one, Spoonnacular. So go over here, start now. It's quite simple to get going. Start now. And then you can sign in here or create an account here. It just asks for your email and username and password. That's it. And once you have that, so let me log into mine. It's one of these. Let's see. Is it that one? There we go. No, it's not. Okay. Now, one little thing about this API is that it's limited. Spoonnacular API. Let me just Google it that way. Oops. Should be this one. Oh, there we go. Spoonnacular API. So start now. So just email and password. Now they have a limit of 150 requests per day. But I mean you can go to Google and do a little, if you know what I mean. Just do that. Shh, don't tell him. Don't tell him. Okay, so let me log in here. So once you log in, let's see, this should be the one. There we go. You can head over to my console, go over to profile, and then you have this API key here. So we need to basically attach this API key to each request that we make. So for now, just get this, copy it, and let's head over to our folder. So to go there, just do cd delicious or whatever file name you gave this one, enter, and then you can do code dot to open it up in VS Code. There we go. So here it is. Here's our project. Okay, so we're going to clean up some files in just a bit. To actually get this up and running, we can do npm start just to see it in action. There we go. So this is kind of a generated boilerplate React project here. Wow, it spins. Okay, so now that we have this API key, what we need to do is actually drop it in a .env file. So just click the plus here in VS Code and say .env. Now the reason we do this is, well, potentially you might be paying for this service, the Spoonnacular, because they have paid ones. And if you leave your API key like in your code, well, no one's gonna, I mean, what stops that from someone just taking it, copy pasting it and using it for himself, right? So you want to make sure you protect all your API keys, and that's why we use .env. So with the .env, basically, you can add it in here, and then when you push up your code, it's not going to be present in any of the files where you attach it to. Okay, so that's kind of the basic premise behind it. Okay, so the way it works is you just say everything uppercase React _ app, and then you can give it any name you want. I'll just name this API key like that. I'm gonna set it equal to this API key that we just got and hit save. All right, that's all we need to do. And now rather than go in here, so let's say I'm gonna open up the app.js. So just imagine you're fetching, right, some data. Rather than doing it like spoonacular.com/API and then you attach your, let's say you attach your key. So if you push this up to GitHub like that or any other service, this is going to be visible and they can just take it. So what React offers you is called process.env and then you add your name that you have here from the env file. All right, and that's not going to show anything. Cool. Okay, so let's clean up some files and just to clean it up so everything is a bit clearer. Okay, app.css, delete. App.js, we'll remove everything in here and just do a h1. Oh, damn it. Okay, let's switch this to React. Do a h1 and say hello. Okay, keep it simple. Get rid of this logo, get rid of this import, just keep it nice and clean. So it's basically a function that returns you some HTML or JSX. If you're one of those people, oh, JSX. Okay. App test, we hate testing, so let's get rid of that. Index.js, we do need this. Logo SVG, we'll get rid of that. Report web vitals can go away. And setup test can also go away. Okay, and in here in the index.js, we actually need to remove this report web vitals. We'll remove this import here because we're never using it. And that should be it. Nice and clean, just 3 files. Cool, let's see if everything still works. And it does. Let's do a little inspect, make sure we don't have any errors, and we don't. Cool, am I still recording? Yes, I am, cool. Okay, so now that we have that up and going, we can start off, let's see what we should do first. Let's start off with let's start off just by making the front page, okay? So what I'm gonna do is kind of organize everything up. I'm gonna have a folder called pages. So if I open up the app here, so this would be our home page basically here, right? And then this would be like a cuisine page. And when I search something here like muffin, this would be another page, okay? So basically this search and this filter and this nav here is all gonna be static. And then down here, we're gonna have different kinds of pages, okay? So let's just kind of start building out these two down here, okay? Just so we can get something up on the page. So our vegetarian picks and the trending page. Okay, so let's head over to, let's start off with the popular one maybe. So let's go here to source, make a new folder and call it components. Okay, I'm also going to make a new folder and call this pages, like that. Okay, components and pages. Cool. So what I want to do now in here, so I'm going to have the nav and I want to have the different pages, right? Okay, so let's head over to pages and make a new file, not folder, file. And I'm going to call it home.jsx. Okay, cool. All right, so here is basically where I'm gonna add these two components. So this is gonna be one component and this is gonna be another component. All right, so let's just keep it empty for now. Let's go over to components, make a new file. I'm gonna call this popular.jsx. There we go. Okay, to generate a new component in React, you can say rfce and hit tab. If that doesn't work, there's a package that you can install in extensions called, what is it? ES7 React Redux React blah blah blah. It's the most popular one. You're gonna find it. Okay, cool. So popular, here's what we have. All right, so we don't need to use this import React anymore, so we can get rid of it. So we just have a function that returns some div, and then we're exporting it down here. Okay, so I'm gonna save this for now. I'm gonna create another one called veggie.jsx. Okay, so this is kind of how I like to structure my code here. I'll make the components and then add them into the page. All right, so two components are gonna go in this home page. So I'm just gonna import them. Import, what is it called? Veggie, and you can just hit enter and that's gonna import it. And import popular and hit enter. Okay, cool. So now down here, I can just say function. We can do rfce. There we go. And in this home, I'm just gonna add the veggie and I'm gonna add the popular. Okay, so essentially what we're doing is we're rendering these two components out in this home, right? This one and this one. Right now is just an empty div with a popular, and we're rendering them out here. Now the thing is we're not rendering a home anywhere, so we need to bring it in somewhere else. So I can just go over here to the home page for now, and I can do an import home from /pages/home, like that. Okay, so if we go over here and hit refresh, hello, and we cannot see them yet. Oh, I need to render it out down here, home, like that. And there we go, we have veggie and popular. Okay, cool. Now I'm gonna make a little modification here and I'm gonna explain it why later. But what I essentially want to do is make another component so we can just render out pages here. All right, I don't want to have home here and then popular and blah, 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 and all the other ones stacked up in my app. Okay, so just follow along a little bit here. I'm going to get rid of this. All I'm going to do for now is just go over to pages and make a new one and call this pages.jsx. And all I'm going to do is basically render out the home in here. And the reason why I'm doing this is because we're going to add routing and everything else, and it's going to be a huge file. And I don't want to just bloat up my function app here. Okay, so what we're going to do is say rfce. All right, so we have our pages. And then in here for now, we'll just render out the home. Import home like that. Okay, drop it down here, home. Cool. All right, let's close everything up. Go to app, and I'll just have pages in here then. Import pages from pages, and then down here, pages. All right, just to organize everything up. Okay, so again, just to be super clear, we have pages here, which is going to contain all the pages. So home, and then searched items and whatever is going to come next. And then home contains veggie and popular, which are these two components. Okay, cool. So essentially we have the same thing for now. Okay, so let's start off with the popular. So what we're going to do is, what we need to do is fetch that API, fetch the popular items basically from this API. So if we go over to Spoonnacular here and go over to docs, the one I used is random here. So get random recipes. it finds basically random popular recipes. So here's the request that we need to do down here. So API Spoonnacular recipe random, and to this one we can attach our API key at the end. Okay, so how do we fetch this? So first thing is, let's make a function up here. We can call it get popular, like that. Set this equal to async and run an arrow function. The reason we're adding async here is because it's data that we need to wait for. So we want to make sure that we have the data first before we render anything out. Okay, so now that we have that, what we need to do is do a const API. So I'm going to make a variable here. I'm going to say await fetch. I'm going to do backticks and add that code in there. Now remember, we need to attach our API key. So at the end of this, just add a question mark API key and set the equal to $ curly brackets. And then what we need to do is say process.env.react app API key, or whatever you named it here, right? React app API key. Cool. Now what we can also do is set a number of, like, how many recipes do we want to get back. And the way you do that is add a and number and set the equal to any number you want. So I want 9 recipes, so I'm gonna add 9. Okay, cool. So now what we need to do, I'm gonna make a new variable called data, set this equal to await API.json. All right, this is basically gonna give us a JSON format for us to be able to play around with the data. Let's just log it out here. Console log data. Okay, cool. So now we have our function, and if we hit save, nothing happens. Why? Why do you do this, React? Well, this function never gets invoked, right? It's just, we saved it up in memory, never gets used. So what we essentially want to do is, when the page reloads initially, when we visit localhost 3000 or whatever you're going to name this website, is when the component essentially gets rendered or mounted, we want to run this function as soon as possible. So the way we do that is with use effect. So go here in function popular, and what we're going to do is say use effect. Now, if you hit enter on this, it's automatically going to import it from React. So we're going to set this equal to parentheses, and we're going to run an arrow function in here like that with curly brackets. And in between the last curly bracket and parenthesis, I'm going to add an empty array. And in here, I'm going to say get popular like that. So what this is doing is basically running this get popular as soon as the component gets mounted. And we're adding an empty pair of arrays here to basically tell it, hey, only run it when the component gets mounted. So we add an empty array here because we can pass in other information here, like maybe a value in our app gets updated. So let's say, you know, we're searching for something. So every time our search changes, run this get popular again. So you can add that in here. But for this one, just when it gets mounted. So let's hit inspect, go to console, and we have an object there. Oh, you're not authorized. Oh no, might be my API key, you know. I think I made a new one. Hold on. Let me copy paste that over here. So let's see. I wonder if it's my API key is not good anymore. Let me just quickly check here in my console. Ooh, has it reached its limit finally? Copy, paste. Well, it might be it, you know. Oh gosh. Okay, let's try. Let me quickly copy paste this over here to me. 51D0E 725 A5F 940 789. Okay, 1C48 92E29 D1C 70A. Oh my god. Okay, let's see again. Refresh would be hilarious if it does. It doesn't work. No. Why you do this to me? Okay, what's wrong with this? Oh, here's a good point. When you make a process.env file, you need to restart the server. Okay, so it wasn't even an issue there. I had this issue so many times. When you add something in your process env, whether it be an API key or whatever, you hit save, you add it in your component, and it doesn't work. So open up the terminal, Control-C, and then start it again. I'm actually glad it happened, because it's one of those things where you're like, oh my god, why is my code not working? Okay, console. And there we go. Look at that. We have recipes. Yes, let's go. All right, so recipes here. So it's basically an array that holds 9 objects here. Okay. The thing though is that we're just console logging it out down here. So what we need to do is save it somewhere so we can use it. So that's why we use state in React. Essentially, it's kind of like a variable that holds information, but the advantage of it is when that variable changes, so all the data that changes in that variable, the UI reacts to it. So let's say you remove an item from here, the UI is going to react and it's going to remove it from there too. All right. So what we need to do is just the way we imported use effect, we'll import use state. So that's what it's called. So just add a comma here and say use state. Cool. So what we need to do is say const, pair of brackets, I'm going to call this popular, and set popular. All right, and set this equal to use state, and it's going to be an empty array. Okay, so again, kind of like creating a variable. You have, this would be kind of your variable, and this would be the function that would allow you to modify this. Okay, and then use state, and in here you define what kind of data you have. In this case, array. But if you have a string, you can do a string, you can have a boolean, whatever you want. Okay, so down here, when we fetch our popular, what we want to do is say set popular. Okay, you never want to do popular is equal to data. That's a big no-no in React. So do set popular, the function that they give you here. I'm going to set it to data.recipes. Okay, the reason why I'm doing this is because, well, essentially it's an object that holds, it's an array that holds objects. So I'm just going to pull that out like that. Okay, and I think that's going to be it here. I'm going to hit save. So there we go. Now we actually need to render something out here on the screen because we don't have anything. So I think it would be a good point here. Let's just go here and do popular. All right, popular like that. So we're getting all the data from the array and mapping over it. So popular.map. And in here, we're going to have our recipe, run some curly brackets. And here, what I want to do is return some JSX. Okay, so essentially what you're doing here is you're wrapping, you're not looping, I mean, mapping is essentially you're looping over it and outputting something. So we're going through each one of these recipes and we're outputting something here. And this recipe here means each recipe. All right, so if I do recipe dot vegetarian, that's going to give me this value here for each one. False, 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 true, false. Okay, so you're going to see it just now. So we're going to do a return here. Is this erroring out? Did I not close this properly? Let me go back here. Okay, so popular map, another pair, recipe, run an arrow function. There we go. Return, parentheses, like that. Okay, so what do I want to output here? Well, we'll just do a div for now, but we'll modify these in just a bit. So I'll do a div like that. And let's just do a paragraph, and I'm gonna say recipe.title. Okay, so essentially it's gonna go for the first one, check its title, and output a div with a paragraph. And look at that. Everything gets outputted on the screen. Very cool. Okay, so there's a little error here saying each child in the list should have a unique key prop. So that's kind of a thing you're gonna get in React when you're mapping or looping over stuff and you're outputting on the screen. It's gonna wanna know, it's a bit picky and wants to have a unique identifier for each item, just in case they get updated or removed from the DOM. It needs to know kind of each one of its positions. Does that make any sense? Essentially, every time you loop over, just add a key prop to your parent div here. So I'm going to say key, and we can get a unique identifier by saying recipe.id. All right, so each one of them has an ID. So we can just say recipe.id. Okay, and that should get rid of that error. So let's do a refresh, and there we go. Perfect. All right, so I'm gonna stop here rather than start doing adding all the data in here. I want to refactor this and also install styled components and a couple of other things. So let's go down here, open up the terminal and close this up. This is a good time to take a little breather, take a drink, and just do an npm install. And let's see what we're gonna use here. Let me go over to package.json. So we're gonna install a couple of things here. We're gonna do framer motion. So this is used for animations. We're gonna do React icons. We're gonna do React router DOM for routing, and styled components for our CSS. Okay, install that, take a breather, a vape break. And I actually forgot one thing to install, which is React.byed. So what that is kind of like this carousel, all right, the customizable carousel. So let's do npm install React.byed and hit enter. All right, should be fine. Is it fine? Let's go to package.json. I don't see it. Okay, let's look up React.byed. How do we install this? Oh, here we go. npm install @splyjs React.byed. Let's copy that over and paste it here. And that should be good. Cool. So now we have it. Okay, let's do restart npm start. Close it up. It's gonna pop open in a new window. And there we go. All right, so let's start styling everything up here. So let's head over to our popular JSX. And what I'm gonna do is make a couple of components here that are specific for styling. So I'm gonna import styled from styled components. And what this allows you to do is basically create kind of like these functions, and you can attach kind of like a component that has styling attached to it. So let me show you how it looks like. If we go down here, so let's say I want to have a kind of like a wrapper div. So I can say const wrapper equals to styled.div and add a pair of backticks. And here I can add any styling I want. I can say margin 4 rem 0 rem. Okay, and hit save. So now I don't need to go here and add a class name or anything. I can just replace this div with the wrapper. Okay, so I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna copy it, And I'm gonna paste it. I just get rid of everything. I'm just gonna do wrapper like that. Okay, so we have a div with a margin of 4 rem. In here, I'm gonna add a h3. I'm gonna call this trending or popular. I guess popular pics would be better. Okay, and then down here, actually we're gonna loop over everything again. Should have not deleted that, but we're gonna loop over each recipe. And here we're gonna return. So what I wanna do is basically make kind of a card for every recipe. So I'm gonna go down here and say const card is equal to, again, this is gonna be a styled div like that. And I'm gonna add, for now, just a height to it, a min height of 25 rem and a border radius of 2 rem. Okay, cool. So we're gonna add this div here. All right, there we go. So we have our card. Then in here, I'm gonna add a p tag, which is gonna have the recipe dot title. And where I'm pulling these informations out of is basically here. So if you console logged it out in the get popular, let's do another console log here. Console log data.recipes. Hit save. So here we go. All right, so recipe represents, again, each individual object here. And then you can just go through these and pull out any information you want. Recipe.title, recipe.vegan, whatever you want. So recipe.title there. And I'm also going to pull out the image here. Going to replace the empty quotes with recipe.image. And for the alt, I'm going to add recipe.title. And hit save. And look at that. There we go. We have all of our images. Perfect. Really cool. So that's kind of it. That's kind of all I want to have for now. Let's see what we should do. Let's add, as you can see, the corners of this aren't rounded. So what I'm going to do is go down here to the card, add an overflow of hidden, hit save. And I'm also gonna go in here, so you can use this kind of like SAS where you can get all the images in the card div. All right, so you can just stack it up together like that. So this would target that div image. That's kind of like the selector that we're doing here. So for the image, let's do border radius, 2 rem, and hit save. And that should be it for now. Okay, cool. Just add a little roundness to it. Now what I want to do is add it to the carousel. So we can import splide. Import curly brackets from splide. What is it at splide? There we go. And what we need to import is splide and splide slide. Jesus, these names. Okay, save. And splide also has some styling associated with it, so we need to import that as well. So at splide / react splide. No, that's not the one. Let's go over to the docs. It's here somewhere. Here we go. Import the CSS file. So just copy and paste this over. Perfect. Okay. So essentially the carousel is going to be the splide component, and splide slide is going to be each individual image or card, I should say. So it's quite simple to set it up. What we need to do is, let's see where we're going to go with this one. So H3, so right above the H3 here, I'm going to make a splide component and grab this and just wrap it all up. like that, and hit save. Okay, and now each card will be a slide. So I'm gonna go in here and say slide, slide, and just wrap each card with it as well, like that, and hit save. Cool, so let's see if that works. So, oh, we're getting there, but not really. So we actually made a carousel for each one of these. So that's not good. So let's see where we messed it up. Carousels up the wazoo. Okay, so that does it. Oh, it's because we have another loop over here. I just noticed now. Let's get rid of this loop here. Like that. And get rid of that. Okay, there we go. We were doing like triple loops there. Cool. So just get rid of that. And this is, oh, and we also need to get rid of this return. There we go. Get rid of that return and these parentheses down here. Hit save again. Okay, fixed. Cool. All right, there we go. We have our little slider. Now there's only one item here per page, but we can easily modify that by going here to the actual slide. And here we can pass in some options. So options, add another pair of curly brackets, hit enter just to make some space. And we can do per page, I can say 4. Let's hit save and look at that, we have 4 now. Very cool. I need to sneeze, give me a second. Okay. Another thing we can define here is if we want the arrows, if we want the dots down here, I'm gonna get rid of all of those. So let's do arrows, set that to false. I'm gonna do pagination, so that gets rid of the dots. Gonna remove that. I'm gonna add drag of free, which allows you to, it's not gonna snap into place, so you can kind of move it around nicely. I'm also gonna add a gap, which is kind of like margin. I'm gonna say 5 rem here and hit save. Okay, let's see, look at that. How fast and easy that is. It's very customizable, it's quite cool. And there we go, that might be quite pretty much everything here. Oh, what I want to do is take this text and actually put it on top. So there's going to be quite a bit of styling. I'm just going to copy, can I copy paste it over actually, because I don't have another monitor here. We're going to do it one by one. What I want to do essentially is take the paragraph and position it on top of the image and just stuff like that. So let's just kind of quickly do this, smash through it. So let's go to the card. So we're going to add a position relative to this. Like that. Go to the image and we're going to add a position absolute, left 0, width 100%, height 100%, object fit of cover to make it not look stretched out. And I think that's about it there. And then we're going to get the paragraph. There we go. We're going to do position absolute. We're going to do a Z index of 10 to make sure it's on top of it. Left 50%, bottom 0%, transform, translate, -50, 0%, color white, width 100%. Just copy paste everything over here. It's nothing interesting. Text align, center, font weight 600. Font size is going to be 1 rem. Height is 40%. Display flex. Justify content center. Align item center. This probably can be cleaned up quite a bit, but should be fine. There it is, right in the middle. Actually, the bottom quarter of it. So what else you can do here? What I did was I made another component called gradient. Const gradient, set that equal to a style div. Just to bring this out a little bit here, we can add a gradient on top of the image. So it's going to be a style div that's going to have a Z index of 3, a position of absolute. So I'm just going to add a width of 100, height of 100, so it's the same size as the card. And then I'm going to do a background of linear gradient. I'm going to say RGB A 0, 0, 0, 0, comma RGB A 0, 0, 0, 0.5, and hit save. Okay, so I can take this gradient and just add it up here like that. Okay, and hit save. And look at that, it just brings the text a bit out. It's quite nice. All right, very cool. So that should be about it in this component. The cool thing is that we can just easily make our veggie one and then just do copy paste. So it's not going to be too difficult. Now there's one little issue with this. Remember, we're using the Spoonnacular API, and if you keep refreshing quite a bit, we're going to max out our API and the app is not going to work anymore. You're going to have to wait till tomorrow or use the temporary email. So yeah, that's not good. And also, do we really want to, like, let's say we search for something and we come back here. Do we really want to fetch it every time we come back to this page or refresh this page? Wouldn't it be nice for it to be cached up? Well, let's do that because it's quite a good thing to do. So let's also get rid of this unique key. Okay, so remember, every time you loop over things, go over to the parent div and add a key of recipe.id. And with a refresh, that should work. There we go. Okay, so how do we do this? Well, in this get popular here, what we can do is store our search here, our fetch, into local storage. Okay, so the way we do that is, let's go up here. And what I want to do is check if there's something in local storage now. So you can go here to console. It's in memory, I believe. No. Application, storage, local storage. Here it is. All right, I have a couple already saved here. I guess we could clear this out. Delete, delete, and delete. So what I want to do is check if there's anything in local storage. If there's nothing in local storage, then we'll set it. If there is something in local storage, then we'll just set our state to it. Okay, so I'm gonna call this const check, set it equal to local storage dot get item, and we're gonna name this popular. Okay, cool. So if check, so if there's an item in local storage, then I just want to set it. I don't want to do the fetching again, right? We have it there saved. So the way we do that is we just do set popular, and to get it from our local storage, we do json.parse check. Okay, so that's the way we pull it back. Else, if there's nothing in it, then let's fetch it and put that in there, put that in there, and then this as well. So we can copy actually everything over here. And what else we want to do is set it here, right? So we go here and do local storage, local storage dot set item. We're going to call it popular, comma, json.stringify data.recipes. Okay, so let me go through everything again because it's a bit weird. So what's with the json.stringify and json.parse in the first place? Well, in local storage, you can only save strings. So if you want to just do local storage set item, popular data recipes, it's not going to work. So you're taking the array, you're making it a string and saving it that way. And then when you're getting it, when you're pulling the item back, sorry, where is it? Get item here. When you're pulling it back, you're parsing it back to the array from string to an array. All right, so that's parsing back. So string it and then do the opposite of it. Okay, so again, we're checking to see if our popular is saved in our local storage. Okay, so if there is, perfect. Then I don't want to do the fetching and everything anymore. We're just going to take it back, parse it from a string back to an array, and we're good to go. Well, if there's nothing in here, then we're setting it and we're fetching the API, and that's it. All right, so now check this out. If I refresh, it's not gonna fetch over and over again, which is really cool. So if I go to console, as you can see, that console log never gets logged out. Yay! So we're gonna apply the same thing to the other card. Okay, so that's good. Now let's do some basic index styling here. So let's head over to index CSS. And I'm just gonna go here to the top. Let's do margin 0, padding 0, box sizing, border box. Okay, so the star symbol basically says, hey, grab every element from the DOM, whether it's a button, a H1, an image, all of them, and give them a margin padding and box sizing of 0. All right, and then I'm gonna set the font family to Montserrat, comma, sans serif. This is kind of like a fallback that you can use. Okay, so now we need to import this font. So go over to Google Fonts, click that, and let's find Montserrat. Here it is, click. I'm gonna grab the regular one and I believe the semi-bold one, medium one. And then you can copy this thing over here. I also grabbed Lobster 2 if you want to grab it for the logo. It's optional. So let's grab this whole thing, copy it. And to add it, just go over to public index.html and just plug her in right here. Somewhere at the top here with the links. And that should do it. Cool. So let's see if our thing got updated. And it did. Oh, looks much nicer. All right, there we go. So again, now that we have our popular all finished up, what we can do, let me just double check to make sure, because we're gonna do a copy paste over to the veggie one. Yeah, that should be all right. We can do a copy paste and just modify the API request here. So let's go over to our veggie and let's grab, okay, let's see what we're grabbing here. Should be almost everything. So this div here, so just copy everything from the return all the way down here. Okay, copy that. Go back here and return this whole thing and hit save. Okay, now that's gonna error out because we don't have those things. Now what you could do if you want to make it this super nice, you can add these const wrapper card into its own files and then just import them to reuse them basically. But for now, I'm just gonna do a copy paste of this. So copy all the styles over, add them to the bottom here, hit save, and then we need to do some imports as well. So we can grab the splide, the styled components, use effect, pretty much everything. Do a copy paste over here. Hit save. Okay. And then let's see, what else do we need? Same thing with the use effect and everything. So I'm gonna just grab these. Basically, it was the whole file. Okay, so everything above the return all the way to the beginning of the function. Paste in here and hit save. Okay, and then we just need to modify a couple of things. So this is not popular anymore, it's veggie. This would be set veggie. It's gonna be an empty array. We can modify this to get veggie, set popular here to set veggie, set popular here to set veggie. Okay, let's see. I think that should be it here, and then we just need to modify this URL to fetch vegetarian dishes. Okay, and here, set item will also set veggie, and this one to veggie. Okay, that should be done. Data, so everything here stays the same. Data recipes. Here we can do our vegetarian picks. There we go. I guess we could modify this to make it look a bit different. We can add 3 here per page, hit save, and let's do for the other one. I think I added more. No, I think it's 4. Okay, keep it 3, and then we'll just modify the sizes of the cards. Okay, so down here, we don't have popular map anymore, we have veggie map, and everything else should stay the same. Okay, and then let's see if we want to do any stylings any differently. So for the card here, 25 overflow hidden. That's fine. Okay, let's just see how this looks like for now. Oh, popular is not defined. Line 42, let's see. Oh, need to hit save. There we go, look at that. So that's our veggie picks right there. Really cool. Though it's the same as this one down here, so we need to modify the API request. So the way we do that is, let's go over to Spoonnacular, go over to the docs, and you can use this complex search here and then just add anything you want on it. So if you want to do a different cuisine, if you want to add a different diet, and they have examples here as well. So complex search, query pasta, so that you can use for search, or you can use and then add veggie here. Let me just make sure I got this correctly. Oh yeah, they have a tags here. So if you search tags, here we go. Use defined tags that have a match. The author params has to be set. So you can set tags equal to vegetarian, and that's gonna work. They have different ones if you want to look it up. It's all here. Okay, so let's modify this. So Spoonnacular recipes, we're going to change this to not random, actually, yeah, random API key. We're going to keep that. And at the end of this, number 9. And we just attach and tags equal to vegetarian. And hit save. All right, let's see. So now this is saved in local storage, so it's not going to modify anymore. So we need to go here, go to, where is it? Application, local storage, go to the vegetarian one, hit delete, and then let's do another refresh. There we go. Now we have veggie stuff. Cool. Perfect. All right, this is looking quite good already. I like it. Okay, so that was quick. That was done as well. Now, let's go over to pages. I think that's what we're going to do next, is add a bit of styling here. Let's see. Yeah, let's go over to index CSS. Add a margin to this of 0% and 20%, just to kind of squeeze everything a bit together. Oh, that's much nicer. Very cool. And then let's add some basic like font sizes and stuff. So I'll grab all the H4s, font size 1 rem, color, I'm gonna add a grayish color. So I'm just gonna hover over this and pull this up a little bit. Something like that, 56. That's good. And then copy paste this over and just do H3. Let's add a 1.5 for the H3. Color is going to be the same. Going to add a different line height, 2.5 rem. Okay, and a margin of 2 rem, 0 rem. Again, feel free to style it up. I'm just going to blast through this quickly. And the A tags are going to have a color of this, same color. And I'm going to do save. Perfect. Just give it a little space there. We can get rid of this hello as well in our app.js. Perfect. So we have our pages, and then we can add our nav and search at the top. Cool. Let me have a little sip. Perfect. Okay, so let's think what we should hook up next. Let's do search. Okay, let's do the cuisine thing up here. So these buttons up here. Okay, so let's head over to. So this is going to be in the page, in the components. I'm going to make a new file and call this, I'll call it category. .jsx. Perfect. So here, we're going to basically import a couple of stuff from React Icons. React Icons. So let's import FA pizza slice and FA hamburger. Hamburger, like that. And make sure you add FA here at the end, like that. And then we're going to import some Github icons. So GI noodles and GI chop sticks from React Icons GI, like that. I messed up this import. There we go. Okay, so how do I know this stuff? You need to go over to React Icons, open this up, and you can just search for one up here. So let's say I want a house. And there we go. There we go. So BS house fill. So you can click on it and that's going to copy it. And then this one has BS. So it's probably React Icons BS. Yeah. So you just add the prefix that they have here attached and that's going to pull it in. Next up, I'm going to import styled, just so we can do some styling from styled components. And yeah, we're soon going to get into routing because we're going to need to do a bit of routing here. Okay, so let's make an RFCE. All right, make a component here. Cool. So this one is going to hold. Let's see how we're going to do this. So essentially what I want to have here is a list with a bunch of different links. So I'm going to import it now from React Router. We're going to say nav link from React Router DOM. All right, and let's just add it for now, and then I'll explain it in just a bit. So actually, you know what? Let's just keep it simple, and then we'll do it once I do the React Router thing. Okay, so just a div. Let me see how I can do this. I'll just add another div for each icon. So here we're going to have the FA pizza slice, like that. And this is also going to have a H4 saying Italian. Okay, cool. And then we can just copy paste this 3 more times, like that, and just replace this with FA hamburger. We're going to call this American. Then we can do GI noodles here. Replace this with Thai food and GI chopsticks and call this Japanese. All right, let's just see if the icons work in the first place. Oh, that was exciting. Okay, so nothing's happening because we're not using this category anywhere on the screen. So we need to import it somewhere. So what we're gonna do is head over to our app.js, import category from our components category, and let's just render it out up here like that. Okay, let's see. Oh, big ol' error. Let's see, GI chopsticks is not working. Why is that? Okay, what's wrong with you? GI chopsticks from React Icons. Looks good to me. I wonder if that's the error. GI chopsticks imported as GI chopsticks. Huh. Let's get rid of this for now and see if that works. Just gonna comment out this part of the code. Okay, so there's something wrong with the chopsticks. GI chopsticks. Let's write it out again. Oh, there we go. Let's try again. No. Is it lowercase maybe? Yeah, okay, so that was lowercase, that's why. Cool. All right, so there it is. Wonderful. So let's do some styling now. So rather than having a big div here, I'm going to call this a list. So I'm going to create a styling specifically for that. Const list, style div, and in here I'm going to do a display flex, justify content center, and a margin of 2 rem, 0 rem. Okay, there we go. Essentially what I want to do is have these as links. So I might just import the link tag from React Router DOM. So let's replace this with this for now. Hit save. Let's see all the changes. Okay, so it just puts them there. So essentially in React, you don't want to use anchor tags like that because it's a what is it? A client-side rendered app, right? So when you use an A tag, it basically refreshes your page and navigates over to somewhere else. So that's a big no-no. So what we're gonna do is import navlink from React Router DOM. Okay, and I want to take this navlink and basically wrap it around each of these items like that. Cool. So now there are links, React links. We also need to add a to, like where do we go? To, I'm gonna add a slash. Let's make this go to /cuisine/Italian. And I'm just gonna copy this over, paste it to each one. This is gonna go to American. This is gonna go over to Thai. And this is gonna go over to Japanese. And hit save. Okay, let's see what errors we have. Console. Oh boy, okay. So I don't think it works yet because we don't have the browser, the routing setup. So the nav links I don't think are gonna work. So that might be the issue. So we might just revert it back for now and just leave it like that. Okay, sorry. Let's just keep it simple. Keep it the div. And once we have the functionality hooked up to it, it's there. I mean, it's cool. But it's not gonna work for now. So let's actually do the routing, because I don't think we can get too far away, because essentially when we click on this, we want to get back recipes, another page basically, right? We want to make another page that gives us a bunch of Italian, American, whatever recipes there is. Okay, so let's start off with the routing and then we'll return to this. So let's head over to our, let's see here, to our pages. Okay, we're gonna do all the routing in here. That's why I kind of wanted to separate it from the app. So let's import a bunch of crap and then I'll explain. So let's do import and add curly brackets from React router DOM. So we're gonna import something called browser. Let's do, not browser router, let's do route, routes, and I think that's gonna be it. Okay, so I'm gonna take this div, this empty div, and just say routes. Routes, like that. So in here, you can define multiple route components to take you in different locations. So I'm gonna have a route component that if the path matches slash, which is basically the home page, nothing, then render out the element or the component, I should say, called home. Okay, so that's essentially what this does. So you define your routes in this routes component in here, and then you add all your different routes. So let me demonstrate it by making a new one, because we're going to do this anyway for the category here. So I'm going to call this cuisine JSX in the pages, cuisine.jsx. Okay, RFCE, just generate a simple one here, leave it empty, and then I'm going to import it here. Import cuisine, and then if the path is, let's say if the path equals slash cuisine, well then render out the cuisine component or page, right? So that's kind of the format. Make a new page, add it in here in the pages component as a route, and that's it. Okay. So let's see, we have an error. Cool. What is it? Is it from here again? Okay, so we're getting this error message here because we don't have browser router around our pages. So basically when you're setting up React Router DOM, you want the browser router, which gives it the functionality for the routes to work. So let's import that. Just do browser router. There we go. Let's wrap everything up here like that. Perfect. So that's what browser router does. Basically, it gives the ability for the routes to work. Routes it's kind of like an intelligent component that looks at the paths and figures out which route to render out. And then the routes we know, because it's quite forward, straightforward. That's all. Okay. So cool. So we have set up a route that takes up here and another route that takes us to cuisine. So if we take a look now, let's do a refresh and see if we have an error, and we don't anymore. Now check this out. If I go over to slash cuisine and hit enter, look at that. We are on the cuisine page now. So it's as simple as that. Now that's cool. So now that we have this set up, what we can do is set up these links to actually take us to those specific pages. All right, so I just wanted to make sure I set this up first before we got to move on to other stuff. Okay, so super simple. We'll go over to category. We already imported the nav link. Now, normally you're gonna see people use link, which is what you'd normally use. I like to use nav link because it gives you a class called active that you can basically, whenever you click on, let's say this one, it's gonna add a class of active to it, so then you can add specific styling associated to that. Okay, so since this is a link tag, we can now paste it here like that. And done. Okay, so now on this one, I can do a to/cuisine, like that, /Italian. All right, and I'll just add one for each of these. Navlink 2, oops. Let me make sure I copy this over correctly. Just add it to each one, and then we'll just update these to American, Thai, and Japanese. Cool. Okay, so now you're gonna see, let's see what this error is about. It says error use location may be only used in the context of the router. So it's basically saying that we cannot use this nav link because the browser router does not surround the category page. So if we take a look in app.js, so we have browser router surrounding in the pages app, but it has no idea about the category one. So what we can do is we can just move up the browser router up a level and just surround our app with the browser router. Okay, so let's head over to our pages. So we have browser router here. We'll just get rid of it. Get rid of it here. And we'll just go over to our pages, our app.js, and we'll just import it here. Import from React router DOM. Okay, remember this basically gives you the functionality to navigate around pages. So if category has links in it and wants to navigate somewhere, well, it cannot because it's not surrounded by the browser router. So let's surround it. Perfect. Copy, paste it down here, and look at that. No more errors. Lovely. So if I click on this now, okay, it navigates us to Cuisine Italian, but it says, hey, there's no routes matched with Cuisine Italian. So basically, this /cuisine only looks for /cuisine. It doesn't care what's here after, like if you add another slash to it, it's gonna try to look for another component. So it perfectly needs to match /cuisine. But what if I want to add something dynamic here? Well, you can add a slash and just say something like cuisine here, or type, like that. And now it doesn't matter what it is after the slash, it's gonna render out our cuisine component. Okay, so you're gonna always use this when you have when you want to navigate to different parts of it, like Italian, American, Thai, Japanese, and it also gives you quite a few benefits. Maybe you want to use, like, depending which page you're on. So if I'm on Italian, then I want to fetch the Italian dishes. Okay, so that's kind of the advantage of it. Okay, save. So now we have everything hooked up, and look at that, it works. Perfect. Lovely. All right, so now that we have that set up, we'll style this up in just a bit. Let's actually make up the functionality in the Cuisine application. Okay, so let's import a bunch of stuff. We're gonna import, let's do styled from styled components. So we'll get that up and going. We'll import motion from framer motion because we're going to do some animations here. Okay, we're also going to import link. So again, this is kind of like nav link from React router DOM. Perfect. And I think that's going to be another one called use params. So what this allows us to do is React router DOM. Actually, we have it already here, so I can just add a comma and say use params. There we go, to shorten this up. what this allows us to do is to pull out the keyword from up here in the URL. Okay, that's what params allows us to do. Okay, cool. So now one thing we can do is, okay, let's go here. I'm thinking if we should use context for this one, but it might not actually even be necessary. So we'll skip it, but for the search one, we're going to use context just so I can show you how that works. Okay, so let's do, let me just head over here. So what we need to do is basically create another function here called get recipes. So specific to this cuisine, or we can call it get cuisine. Set this equal to, so we're going to say async, and it's going to have a name in here. Okay, like that. Const data, await fetch. And the way you can get this one is, well, let's look here in Spoonnacular. I believe it was just a complex search with the cuisine here. So let's copy this over again. Actually, let's copy one over from popular. So let's just get this. There we go. Go to cuisine. Let me close everything up just to make it super easy to see. All right, so in cuisine, paste that sucker. And let's make the necessary changes. All right, so recipes, okay, and here we're gonna do not random, but complex search, like that. All right, question mark API key, that's fine. And at the end here, rather than doing at, you can keep this at number 9, but I'm gonna replace it with cuisine equal to, well, I need to know which one now, Italian, American. Well, this is dynamic, right? So it's gonna change. So what I'm gonna do is add the name that we're gonna pass in this function here. All right, so when we invoke this function, we're gonna pass the name in, which is gonna react to it. Okay, so there we go. And then after this, let's go to the end here. We're gonna do const recipes equal to await data.json. So we're gonna do the same thing, and then we're gonna need to set this cuisine in the state. So let's also import a state, cuisine, set cuisine. I'm gonna name them like that, equals to use state. There we go. And this is gonna be, what is this? An empty array, just like the rest of them. And here, I'm just gonna set the cuisine over to, let's do recipes dot results. All right, that's how we get it. Okay, so now I just need to invoke this little function here. So we can do that with useState, right? UseEffect, sorry. So what we can do is import useEffect as well. So down here, I'm gonna say useEffect, hit enter, that's gonna import it up here. There we go. I'm gonna run an arrow function, set of curly brackets again, like that. And here I wanna run this function, get cuisine, all right, to fetch it. And I also need to pass in a name. So whether we are on Italian or whatever, right? So again, we run the function here. When the component gets mounted, the page gets mounted. We pass in Italian or whichever based on the URL, right? And that's gonna go in here in the name, and it's gonna update here, and we are good. Okay, how do I get Italian here, or whatever I named it here? Well, we can use this params that React Router gives us. So let's go up here. I'm gonna say let params equals to use params. Okay, I'm just gonna add it in the use effect for now. So I'm gonna console log that out, go down here and just say console log params and hit save. So look at that, type Italian. Now if I navigate over to American, it's not gonna do much. Why is that? Well, if you remember, this only runs when the component mounts. So if we navigate to another page, well, it's the same component, so it's not gonna do it again. So what we need to do is say, hey, when params changes, when this URL changes, make sure you run this use effect again. So what we can do here is just pass in this params type, right? So params.type is gonna give us Italian. So go here, say params.type. I'm gonna also console log out params.type here. Hit save. There we go, Japanese, Thai, American, Italian. Look at that, it works. Awesome. So now I can uncomment this get cuisine and just pass in params.type here, like that. And that's it. All done. Lovely. It should work. If you have the extension, the React extension in the Chrome, you can go here to components, and if you look for it, I mean, you're gonna find it. Where is it? Category, so not that one. Oh, this is so much here. Cuisine here. Look at that. Our state has all the recipes. Awesome. So now we can kind of do the same thing we did before, is to kind of do loops and such. So let's go down here. Rather than having a div, we're going to make a grid. So go down here and I'm going to say const grid equals to styled div, like that. And in here, I'm just going to do a display grid template columns. We're going to do a repeat of auto fit with a min max of 20 rem and 1 fr. All right. This is just basically a cool responsive grid that you can use. We're going to say grid gap. I'm going to add 3 rem. Cool. Hit save. I'm going to do a card as well. Styled div. In here, I'm going to grab all the images. I believe this is a copy paste from the other one. So let's go to veggie. Not really the same. Let's just make it our own. Let's do a width of 100%. Let's do a border radius of 2 rem. Close to it. A tag, we're going to do text decoration of none. Okay. Let's see what else is in here, and just grab the H4s and do a H4, a text align to center. Just add a bit of padding to it of 1 rem. Okay, so we have our cards ready to go. Make sure this is grid gap, hit save. So we'll go up here and just replace it with our grid. Paste, paste, lovely. Okay, and here in the grid, we'll just do a cuisine.map. So we'll have each item or recipe. And here we're gonna return something juicy. In here, we're gonna do a card like that. And remember, you need to add a key to this. So we're gonna say item.id. And here, we're gonna have a link to take us to basically a page description. But I'm not gonna add it yet. I'm just gonna do an image with a source of item.image and a little h4 with item.title and hit save. Let's see, look at that, it works. That's awesome. So let's go over to our homepage again and look at that. Cool. Click on Japanese. There we go, Japanese, American. Perfect. So now the only thing is we're gonna need to make another component. So when we click on this, it's gonna take us to another page, which is gonna be that specific recipe's description. All right, but we're making a lot of progress. So now that we have the page done, we can make this look nice, the actual category component. So let's go over there. So how do I style up the nav link because this is a component from React Router DOM. Well, what you can do is with styled components, just go down here. I'm going to call this S-link, so like a styled link. Set this equal to styled, and you can add parentheses and say navlink. All right, so that works too. Make sure it's uppercase, navlink, like that. All right, there we go. You just add the component and the parentheses in here. That should do it. So just let's smash this through real quick. We'll do a display flex. Hey, why won't you work? Oops, because I have too many backticks. Okay, let's go. Display flex. Flex direction column. We'll do a justify content center, align item center, border radius 50%. All right, just to make them like circles. Hit save. Let's also replace them now so we can kind of see the changes we're making. There we go. There we go. So just center them. Let's see what else. Border radius 50. We'll do a margin right of 2 rem. Kind of push them to the side. Again, this is just whatever you want. I'm gonna do this text decoration none to get rid of the styling there. Cool. We're gonna add a background of linear gradient. I have a cool one that I found, 35 degrees. We'll do 494949, and we'll do, where is it? 313131. Let's see. There it is. Cool. So now we need to add the width 6 rem and height 6 rem. So we make them the same size here. So the border radius makes it look like a circle. Cursor is going to be pointer. And I'm going to scale it down a bit. Transform scale 0.8, like that. Cool. So we'll grab the H4s in here. We'll do a color of white. We'll do a font size of 0.8 rem. And we'll grab the SVGs. SVG. And we'll do a color of white. Font size of 1.5 rem. And there we go. That looks quite cool. Now what I want to do is when we click on it, it stays active. It changes its color. So how do we do that? Well, let's make a class down here. And you can do that by saying and.active. All right. And I'll add a background of linear gradient. And we'll do 2 right. And we'll do F27121 and E94057. Goodness gracious. Okay. And then in here, so what you want to do is grab the SVG, make the color white. So basically the opposite, right? You want to have nice contrast, and grab the H4 and make the color white because we don't want to leave it that gray. So like that. Cool. So take a look at that. It just magically works because navlink adds a class of active to it. So now when I click on it, woo, sweet, huh? Very sweet. All right, and that's that. So next up, what we're gonna do is probably hook up the search functionality. Time to add the search functionality. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, so if we take a look at the app, we have a component that's an input, and we also are gonna have a page, a searched page. Okay, so we're gonna start off with the input. So go over to components, new file. We're gonna call this search.jsx. RFCE to generate a project for us, a component I should say. And we're gonna import, let's go up at the top. We're gonna be using import styled from styled components. Okay, cool. And we'll also do use state. from React. And we'll also import a icon. FA search is going to be the one from React Icons FA. Cool. And that's that. So what we're going to have here is essentially just a form like that with an input of type text, and that's that. So let's go down here and make a styled form. So form style, set this equal to styled form. And here we're going to add a margin of 0 rem, 20 rem. We're also going to add a position relative, and the reason why I'm doing this is so I can position the icon on top of the input, and a width of 100%. Cool. So then we're going to grab the input in here. We're going to do border none. We're going to do background RGB. We're going to do that linear gradient one. Linear gradient. It was, I believe, 35 degrees, and it was 494949. The second one was 313131. We're going to add a font size of 1.5 rem, a color of white, and then a padding of 1 rem and 3 rem, border of none, small border radius to make it look fancy, and outline of none. That's when you click on an input, it highlights it for you. It's good practice to keep it on, but I want to stay fancy, so I'm going to take it off. Grab that SVG, add a position absolute to it, top 50%, left 0%. I'm going to do a transform, translate 100%, minus 50%, and the color of the SVG should be white. Okay, so we're not rendering this out anywhere yet. So let's grab the form style and wrap it around like that. And we're going to render this out in, where are we going to render this out? I think in our app.js. So let's go over to our app.js, import, the sneeze is coming, search from search. And right above the category here, you can add the search like that. So let's see, there it is, big ol' honky thing. Looks quite weird. I don't know why. Huh. Let's try this. Let's go here, wrap this around a div like that. Okay. And we'll grab the div in here to a width of 100%, and I'll just move the position relative there. Does that change anything? It doesn't. Oh, I think I forgot to add width 100 on this. I did, width 100%. There we go, that's much better. Cool, so I'm gonna bring this down eventually. I'm just gonna leave it up there. I think we can get rid of this div. Let's see, just put that there, get rid of this div, just simplify everything. And should be, okay, it's not the same. Let's bring it back then. There we go. Okay, nice and centered. Cool, that's how our text looks like. And our font is now here, so let's copy this FA search. That's basically gonna go up here, like that. There it is. Very cool. Okay, so now what we want to do is basically get the value of the text in here. So the way you can do that is, again, with useState. We'll create a input state. I'm going to call this set input, and this is going to be a string, right? Because we want to get data from the input. So an empty pair of strings is going to be the default one. Okay, so how do we hook this up? Well, if I go here and add value, and I can add anything I want in here, right? So if I do hello and hit save, that's going to change the value of it to hello. Now I can add the state in here, so I can do input. like that. And if I hit save now, well, if I type, nothing's going to happen because the input is always going to be an empty pair of strings. So nothing's going to be changed. So all we need to do is hook up an event handler on this one and say, hey, on change, so when we start typing stuff, run a function. Now I can run a simple arrow function in here rather than making a new one, where I can set the input to target value. That's how you get the value of the text that you're writing from event target value. So hit save and look at that. So it looks like nothing's changed, but we can use this input now to get the text. So if I render out the H1 here and just add input, take a look at this. Look at that, see? So it live updates. Cool. So now that we have that, what I want to do is on enter, I want to load up another page basically. So let's make an event handler here, const submit handler is equal to event, and in here, let's just do a console log hey. So here's the problem: when you hit enter, it's going to refresh the page because that's the normal behavior of a form. So if we hook it up here on submit handler, all right, it's going to do a refresh. So to stop that behavior, we can do an e.prevent default. Again, since we're using create React app, right, we don't want to refresh the whole page. We want to keep our components that don't need to be updated. We want to keep them there. So our search and our cuisine here is going to stay intact, and only the pages are going to be switched over. All right, how do we navigate over to another page though? You're going to find out in just a bit. Let's first make the page and hook it up in our pages here, right? We want to add a new page for the searched ones. So let's make a new one, new file. We'll call this searched.jsx. Okay, I'm going to keep it super simple now just so we can output something on the screen. So RFC searched, hit save. So we have it here. Now hook it up in pages. So I'm going to import it here. Searched, like that. And basically, I'm going to add a route here. And when we go to the path of cuisine, or let's see how we're going to name this. Let's do /searched. And then we're going to have the search term here, right? Whatever the input was. Element. And we're going to render out the searched, the searched component. Searched. There we go. Cool. Okay, so we have it hooked up now. So now when I go over here to /searched, and let's say we search for cookie. There we go. It's going to take us to this searched component here. Awesome. Okay, how do I make it navigate over there on enter though? Because so far what we've seen is we use link everywhere, right? Link to, so here in the category, right? We have a link that's taking us somewhere. Well, if you want to add, if you have like a function and you want to navigate the user somewhere else and you don't necessarily want to have an anchor tag, the way you can do that is go over to your search here, and we can import something called navigate from React Router DOM. So import use navigate is called from React Router DOM. There we go. So now down here we can just say navigate. We need to add it to a variable. Const navigate is equal to use navigate, like that. So now here we can say navigate, and in parentheses you can add the location you want to go to. So in this case, searched plus input, right? We want to go over to make sure you also add another slash here. We don't want to miss that. So search slash whatever the user searched for. Cool, so let's try. Cookie, not cookie, we had cookie. Pineapple, enter. Look at that, searched pineapple. So it navigates us over to that specific page. Okay, awesome. So we are pretty much done here. And now we can go over to the searched and do another fetch the way we did it before. So let's see here. Category searched. Okay, so we can kind of copy over our, where is it? I'll tell you here. This get cuisine, we can pretty much copy this over. Let me close everything up here. Okay, so let's go back to searched. Paste this in here, and we'll just start renaming stuff. Get searched, like that. That's good. And then let's see what else we need. So this is going to take in a name as well, or a query. And at the end here, I believe it's just not at cuisine, but at query, like that. It's going to take in a name. Everything else here is going to be pretty much the same. One other thing we need is use state and use effect. So let's import use effect and use state from React. Okay, because we want to save this info somewhere. We have set cuisine here, which we don't. So let's call this searched recipes and set searched recipes. Set this equal to use state, and we're going to add an empty pair of bracaroos. Cool. So now down here we can say set searched recipes to recipes.results. That's going to stay the same. Everything else is going to stay the same. Okay, that's cool. So now what we can do is do the use effect thing, kind of like what we did before. So use effect, run an arrow function here, right? And basically what I want to do, there we go. Oh my gosh, is run this get searched like that. Now it needs to take in a query, and if you remember, we can take that from our params. So we can import use params from React router DOM. Okay, let's go here, say let params equals to use params, and then we can get it by saying params.search, like that, or whatever name we put here on pages. So the other one was params.type, this one's params.search. Okay, and we also want to make sure it updates every time we search. So params.search, we add it to the curly brackets here. Cool. All right, so that should be it here. And then I believe we can copy paste over the styling. So let's go over to wherever we had a display grid. I believe it was the cuisine here, yeah. So let's just copy paste this over from the cuisine over here. And let's see if we need to make any changes. I think it's going to be pretty much the same. So then let's render something out here. So it's going to be a grid again. Grid and grid. And in this grid, we'll do a searched recipes. Is that what I called it? Yeah, searched recipes dot map. We're gonna have each item in here. We're gonna return a card with a key of item.id, and we're also gonna add a link soon here. Image. It's pretty much the same as we did before, with a h4 of item.title. And hit save, and let's see if this works. Ooh, styled not defined. Let's see what's up with that. So here we need to import styled from styled components. Perfect. And there we go, we can see it, lovely. So let's do a search. Let's do cookie, enter. Look at that, it works. Let's try a different one. Chocolate, enter. Yay, perfect, awesome. All right, that's that. So we're pretty much done. All we need to do now is to, basically when we click on any recipe from the cuisine, from here, from the search, is to bring us to the details page. So let's hook that up. And then finally, we still have animations left to do, but we are making great progress. Okay, cool. So let's start off with, yeah, let's just make a new page. So go to pages, new file, and we're gonna call this recipe, the actual recipe, recipe.jsx. Cool. So let's head over here. We're gonna import pretty much a bunch of stuff that we did so far. Use effect. We're gonna do use state. We're gonna import styled. And use params, we're gonna need that as well. Okay, so RFCE, we have our recipe here. Let's just save this now and again add it to our pages. Recipe like that from recipe. Whew, okay, and now let's do a route here called path equal to slash recipe slash whatever the name of that recipe is, or ID I should say. Okay, so we're gonna add the ID there because the API is gonna ask us for an ID. Jesus, I can't speak. Element is gonna be equal to our little recipe. Okay, awesome. So this is hooked up. So now let's add pretty much to all of these when we click on them to take us to the recipe page. Okay, so close everything up. So where do we need these? Well, we need it on popular, we need it on search. So if we head over to popular, let's import link here. Import link from React Router DOM. All right, I'll take this and we'll just use it here. So each card basically is gonna be a link, right? So just wrap everything up like that. And this is gonna take us to slash recipe slash, now how do I get the ID? Well, we're actually looping over each recipe and they give us the ID. So I can just do recipe.id. We can do this everywhere pretty much. We can do it in the veggie one. So it's actually quite simple. Let's go over to veggie, do the same thing. Import link from React Router DOM. And then we'll go down here in the card, do a link, we'll wrap it up, and we'll do two, what was it called? Oh yeah, slash recipe slash plus recipe ID. All right, so that should work. So now when we click on one of these, look at that, recipe slash and the ID of that specific recipe. Perfect. So now that we have the ID up here, when we arrive on this details page, we can basically use params and extract this ID and do another API request for the details, okay? So let's head over to our, where is it, recipe, here. So as you can see, it's kind of like we're kind of doing the same thing over and over again. Create a page, import it here in the routes, get stuff from the URL, fetch something, and render it out on the screen. Has kind of a nice consistency to it. Okay, recipe. Let's see what we need. Okay, so we'll just type this one out because it's a bit long. So let's go here and say const fetch details, okay? So So the way you can get this is to an async function, like that, const data equals to await fetch. And the URL is going to be https, I'm just going to type this out, /api.spoonnacular.com/recipes/ and in here, I'm going to add the ID, right, that we have from params. So let's use it. Let params equals use params, and we can get this ID by doing params.name. So params.name. Okay, so there we go. So recipes, the ID, and then it goes /information, and then at API key. So we're gonna copy that part over. Let's go over to one of these to get the API key. Here we go. So at a question mark API key equals to process env. Just copy this whole thing over here, like that. Okay, and that's it. That's all we need. Cool. So that gives us data about each recipe, and then we can save it as to await data.json. And then let's make a state for it as well. I'm going to call it details and set details. Use state, like that. Set details to the detail data. Okay, cool. So this is one. We don't need detail data that results. It's not an array or anything. It's an object, yeah, if I remember correctly. So we can just add an object in the use state. Okay, and then again, same thing. We're gonna do the use effect. So use effect, and what I want to do here is say fetch details, like that. And here we're gonna pass in the params.name again, and hit save. Cool. So hopefully that works. Let's try to render something out down here. We'll just do a details.title. Let's see if that works. There we go, it does. Avocado egg salad. Perfect. Okay, so now that we have all the info hooked up, I'm just gonna power through some styling here very quickly. So let's go down here at the end and do a detail wrapper. So I'm just going to create a div here, like that. I'm going to add some margins. Some margin bottom. Display flex. H2, margin bottom. There we go. And I'm going to also add an active state, and you're going to see what this is going to be soon. We'll add it after. Let's grab the LIs, get font size of 1.2 rem, line height 2.5 rem, and then we'll grab the UL, do a margin top of 2 rem. Actually, let me show you. So I'll add a class of active in here. We'll do a background. We'll copy over the linear gradient from the search. So this one here. There we go. And the color of white. So essentially what I want to do is have two buttons. I want to have a button that, let me search something. I want to have a button that shows the instructions and a button that shows the ingredients. I'm just going to make a class of active for now, and we're going to add it to the buttons. Okay, so detail wrapper, that's done. Let's also, I'm going to come out here and make a styling for the buttons. Styled button. Padding 1 rem, 2 rem. Color is going to be that 313131 that we used. Background white. Border 2 pixels solid black. I added the border to this? Why? Oh, okay, I know why, because we're gonna have one that's like that. Okay, margin right is gonna be 2 rem. Font weight is gonna be 600. All right, and then we're gonna do one more, which is gonna be another tab, const info. It's gonna be a style div. And this is gonna have a margin left of 10 rem. Okay, so let's start adding our stuff in here. So we're not gonna have a div here. We're gonna have the detail wrapper, like that. And in here, I'm gonna have an, let's see, what am I gonna have? I'm gonna just have an empty div for the image and the text. So details.title to get the text. And for the image, we're gonna say details.image. Okay, so that's one. And after this, we're gonna have another one called info, which we made down there. We're gonna have our buttons. So one button that's gonna be called instructions, and another one that's gonna be called ingredients. Perfect. Okay. Hit save on that. We're gonna leave it like this for now. Let's take a look and see if it works, and there we go. So let's add the functionality when we click on each one of these to add a class of active to them. So I'll just make a new state here called active tab and set active tab. And I'm gonna say use state, and the one that's gonna be active by default is gonna be the instructions. So I'm gonna say instructions there. Okay? There's many ways you can go around it, but I'm gonna do it this way. I think it's quite simple. So here what I can do is, well, basically when we click on the instructions button, I can run a function that says, hey, set the active tab. Whoop. Yeah, set active tab to instructions. Right? And when we click on the other one, then set the active tab to ingredients. So now we can just attach a class to each one of these. We can say class name and say, hey, if active tab triple equals ingredients, then add the class of active to it, like that. Else, don't add anything. And we can do the same thing for the other one. So I can copy this, paste it over here, and just replace this with, what is it? Oh, sorry, this one's ingredients, then the top one is instructions. Hit save. Okay, so take a look, that's active now. And when we click on this, that becomes active. Really cool. Okay, so now what I want to show you is I'm actually going to console log out the data here. Console log detail data, because I want to show you something, because I want to extract a couple of things. Let's go to console. We have an error here. What is it? Let's do a refresh. Okay, it's gone, never mind. There's a couple of things. One is going to be instructions here. Now the thing is, I'm not sure if you can see it, or summary. It's actually written like in HTML. See, it has B tags and everything, B and LIs. And if you just render that out on the screen, it's going to render it out with the tags. So it's actually going to display like the code in here. So how do we render out HTML data from an API in React? Well, let me show you. So here, let me go down at the end of this. Let me see where I can do this, because I want to do something else after. Okay, let's do it here. Check this out. If I do a UL here, no, not that one. Change my mind. Let's do another div right below here and just add a H3. So check this out. If I do, what is it called? Details.summary, right? Hit save. Look at that. See, it renders out the B tags, the href, and everything. So what you can do is go here and say dangerously set inner HTML. I don't know why React does it, but it's quite funny. So you add that, and then you add another pair of curly brackets, underscore underscore HTML details summary. I know, right? So silly. I wish they would change this. Makes no sense. But look at that. Now it renders it nicely, and it renders out the anchor tags, the P tags, everything is nice and dandy. Okay. So that's one. Let's see what else we need here. Instruction. We can just add maybe a let's add another H3. We're gonna see same dangerously set inner HTML, and we're gonna do underscore underscore HTML details.instructions and hit save. And there you go. You have the instructions down there. So that's perfect. Okay, so that's for the instructions. Guess you can check out like what's being returned here and style it up even more if you want to. But I'm gonna leave it at that to keep it simple. And then let's see what else we have. Oh yeah, we want to have the actual, look, let me show you. Inspect console, the ingredients, right? So I want to pull these out. All right, so I need to map over this array and render out like an li or something. So I can go out here. I'm going to do it out here, ul, and I can do details, right? Dot extended ingredients, it's called extended ingredients. Dot map ingredient. And there we go. I'm just gonna return here an li like that with a key of ingredient ID, and I'm just gonna display ingredient.original, it's called. Again, you can open up the API and check out all the info that you want to pick out, but I already know, so it's all fine. Okay, so there it is. Nice, it pulled it out. Perfect. Though I don't want to display this, I only want to display it when I go over to the ingredients tab. So how do we fix that? It's actually quite simple. What we can do is go, so here's one div, right? Go over here and just do curly brackets and just check which active tab we are on. Active tab triple equals instructions. So and then I can add two and symbols like that. So basically what this means, if this is true, and then render out anything that's in here. So I'm gonna just copy this. Make sure you add parentheses here actually and hit enter. That's an easier way to do it. And then just dump everything in there like that. So basically both of these statements need to be true to render out something on the page. So if this is false, but this is true, then nothing's gonna be shown. So if we're on ingredients, then this is false. So it's not gonna render anything out here. And the same thing we can do down here. So we can do, hey, if active tab triple equals to ingredients this time. You can do it with an if statement as well. There's many different ways of rendering out content in React, but I like this, it's quite simple. Just do the statement here and then wrap everything in a pair of parentheses. There we go, let's see. Lovely, it works, perfect. So feel free to style this up even more. Let's make sure everything is okay. So here we can click on anything and it's going to take us over to the recipe tab. That's perfect. I believe in cuisine we don't have the links added to them, nor in search. So if we do chocolate, let's see here. Yeah, so we need to attach those as well. So let's start with cuisine. So here we'd need to import the link like that. And that's gonna take us to, what was it? Let's see. What was it? Let's go over to popular /recipe/ this. Okay, we can just copy this over. We called it item here, so we have to do 2. Just get rid of everything there. Plus item.id. Okay. Oop, clean this up. Is that correct? Yeah, that's correct. So /recipe/id. All right, so this is in cuisine. So let's try this out. Click, it works. Perfect. And finally, let's add it to the search as well. So searched, import link here. Go down here, wrap everything up in the link. And we'll do a 2. And it was /recipe/ plus item.id. Okay, so no matter where we are, everything is hooked up perfectly. Awesome. So I think that's about it for here. What we can do is add maybe a logo, an icon that we can style up. I think I'll just do this let's just do it in the app to save time, because wow, this video is going to be like 3 hours. So let's go over to our app. Let's import styled here as well. Wanted to do with context, but we might do that in another video, because I feel like maybe it wasn't necessary here. I feel like we actually simplified the code not having context. Let's make a logo here. We're gonna call this styled link. Okay, we can also add a link here. So when we click it, it takes us back to the front page. All right, and this is gonna have a text decoration of none, a font size of 1.5 rem, font weight of 400. Now font family, let's do lobster to cursive. Okay, cool. Now let's go here and make a nav as well, cons nav. It's gonna be a styled div basically. I guess we could have made it a nav, but anyway. Padding is gonna be 4 rem, 0 rem. Just a display flex. Justify content, flex start. And we'll do align item center. SVG font size 2 rem. Okay, so let's hook that up here. So above let's see, where should we do it? Yeah, here is fine. Let's do nav like that. And in here, we're gonna render out the logo, which is gonna take us to basically to the home page. So / like that. Let's also import an icon here. We can do import GI knife fork from React icons /GI. Okay, let's just add that above here. Knife, there we go. Hit save, let's see. There it is. I can't see the text though. Let's close this up like that. So we can add text in here called delicious. Like that. Cool. So now no matter where we are, when we click on this, it's going to take us back to the home page. So that's a cool little thing that we added. So that's about it. All we need left is the animation. So for that, we're going to use frame or motion. And the way we're going to do it is, well, let's see how we're going to do this. I'm going to do it to 1, and you can add it to all the other ones because it's going to be pretty much the same. So what you need to do is go over to each page that you want to transition. So let's say I want to go from the home to the cuisine here, right? So let's go to home. And what I'm going to do is import motion from frame or motion. So what you're going to do is change the div from div to motion div, like that. And change this to motion div as well. All right, so all the elements that you want to transition need to be wrapped in a motion div. So that, and we'll also do, I'll also do the cuisine. Okay, so this needs to be wrapped in the motion div. But we already have grid here. So isn't there like a nicer solution that we can do here? There is, glad you asked. We can just go over here to grid, and rather than saying style div, we can just add parentheses and say motion.div. All right, and that's just gonna make this a motion as well. And hit save. Okay, so now both of our components are motion divs. Cool. Now what we can do is go to 1 here. So I'll go to the grid, the thing you want to animate. I'm gonna just animate the opacity of this. So double curly brackets and animate. I'm gonna put that to 0. So that's kind of like its starting position. Oh, sorry, to 1. And the initial is gonna be opacity 0. Okay, so every time we navigate to a page, it's gonna fade in from initial 0 to 1. And on exit, we also want to animate it out. So opacity to 0. And if you want, there's a bunch of other stuff you can do here, like transition, different types of transition. You can also define a duration. I'll do 0.5. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff you can do. I'll just copy this over now and add it to the home page as well. So just there, that should do it. And let's see. So on refresh, look at that, it fades in. When we go here, it fades in. The only problem is it never fades out. So the reason why that happens is we need to detect basically when this component fades out to bring the other one in, right? It needs to have a presence, and that's what it's called in frame or motion, animate presence. So you need to wrap these two components into animate presence to detect the change. And we also need to hook something up with React Router. It's gonna take 2 seconds, just follow along. I promise it's not that complicated. So what we need to do is go to pages, okay? So basically all the routes that fade in and fade out need to be wrapped in this animate presence. So let's just get it, import animate presence from React, frame or motion, okay? So again, just go in here. Let's wrap this whole thing into animate presence. And there's another option we can add here, which is called exit before enter, okay? So we basically want to fade out this page before the other one comes in. It's still not gonna work. As you can see, it fades in. So this would normally work, but since we're working with router, we need to add to this routes component a key and a location. Now this is just how it works. I'm not sure exactly why it needs it, probably to see when that component gets unmounted and mounted, or the page gets mounted and unmounted. Not 100% sure, but this is what we do. We just say location equals use location, and we'll import this from React Router. Okay, and all you need to do is go here and pass a location to it and set it equal to location, and the key is going to be equal to location.pathname. And that should be it. That should be everything. So it fades in, that fades out, and it fades in. Look at that. That's quite cool, isn't it? Yay! There we go. That's our app. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this. I know this was a long one. But hey, it was very fun to build. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to support developedbyed.com, head over there, check out the courses on React, JavaScript, animations, and a bunch of other cool stuff. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.